Hi, everybody. I thought I would do a video where I go through the coding for the recent lab that you did. I believe it was lab 9, or maybe it was lab 8. Can't remember. But here were the instructions. Your report should include intro, table of descriptive stats, visualizations, and a table of 5 regression results, and everything should be properly titled. So I thought I would, carefully go through this and see how we do it. And what I think I'm going to do is just go straight over to an R Markdown file. So I'll just open a Markdown file. I'll call it lab 9 and go OK. And I'm just gonna delete everything here. So I'll just leave the YAML lab 9. Then I'll insert a code chunk. I just click right here to insert an R code chunk, and I'm going to add echo equals false, messages or message equals false, warning equals false, and comment equals NA. Those are the options that, whoops, capital NA. Those are the options that we most often want in the code chunks. And now I'm going to copy this and I'll just paste 5 of them. 6 of them, 7 of them. So that way we'll have all the code chunks. And I'll go now, I'll save this. So this will be, I'll put it just down here in my downloads folder. So this will call it lab 9 RMD. So I save that. And now I'll go over here and get this is the read in the Kenya data and create some variables. So I'll put that in my first code chunk. And I'll change this to be include equals false. That way nothing will appear from this reading of the data set. I could check that this will work, so I can run this little code chunk. And everything works just fine, and that loads it into this environment. When I knit, it will open up a new environment that's empty and blank, but while I'm working, I can run the little code chunk with a little button on the side and check. So then I can also have some regression tables and the model, so I'll move those. I'll put those into a bottom chunk down here. So I'll save that for later. For now, I won't use them. And then I needed, let's see, scatter plot, box plot, and histogram. And so we'll put those in the middle here somewhere. Yeah, and the first thing I should have is then an introduction. I'm going to put 3 introduction. That'll make it be a little bit bigger. And this report describes the determinants of earnings in Kenya with emphasis from the returns to education, right? Uh, I should write more, but since I'm really showing you about the code, I'll do that, and I'll make sure that there's no typos here, easy enough to do. So there's my introduction. We read in the Kenya dataset, create a few new variables. I noticed in the Kenya dataset that I have variables like Muslim and Kikuyu, so I think I'll, like most of you, I will interact them, and I'll use tidyverse to do that. So I'll have Kenya, and then Command Shift M is the pipe, and then I'll mutate, and I'll create education uh, education female. So equals underscore years times female. I'll create, so that's an interaction term, right? Then I'll just copy this thing that I have here, and I can make education times Muslim, and then that would be Muslim here. And then I'll go down 1 line and paste it again, and I'll have education times Kikuyu. And yeah, that's the ethnic group. And then maybe I'll also make education squared. Um, So I'll make education SQ equals uh, yeah, where is it? Education years squared. And then maybe I'll also make the let's see what else I can do. Let's take this experience and experience squared and interact them with Muslim or let's do it with female. So we'll see if experience returns to so I'll call it experience underscore fem equals experience times female, and then I'll have the experience squared uh, underscore fem equals experience squared times female. There. Now I've created a bunch of interaction terms, right? Uh, so if I run this again, instead of I didn't load my packages here, right? So I used the pipe syntax. So I needed library um, model summary and library tidyverse. Pretty straightforward. And could have copied and pasted, would have been, faster. So now when I run these, instead of 15 variables, I have 21 variables, and we see my interaction term variables down here. So now I'm ready to maybe do a scatter plot. So scatter plot, as you recall, is ggplot. I tell it what the data set is. It's Kenya. But I think, if I look down here, I think I only want to be using the earnings that are less than 1,000. So it's a subset of the data set. So I'll be consistent throughout. And then I have the aesthetic of what should be on the x-axis. Well, obviously, should be education. And then the y-axis should be what is earnings? Earnings USD. And then I can run this and it'll show just underneath in the code chunk. So things didn't work because that is, and I didn't tell it geom points, right? So I need plus geom underscore points. And that should work. Perfect. Now let's make this nicer. I've suggested to you to use jitter and make the size smaller. And maybe the color equals red. So let's run that. That looks better. Then I can have the theme as black and white. Um, get that gray area out there. There's also theme classic that some people like. And it takes out two of the lines, right? Uses more of the plot area. So I'm also going to have uh, labs. So X equals education in years, and Y equals earnings in US dollars. And then I have the title, and this is table one, so I'll call it, this is figure one. Figure one, education increases earnings in Kenya. Close that, and then the plus. I think let's run that. So definitely better, right? Clearer. Maybe I should add in my smooth regression line, single variable regression line. So that was geom underscore smooth. Method equals LM. And let's see, color equals blue. And then plus here. So let's run that. Yeah, now I have my fitted regression line. Seems everything's good here. This looks like a perfectly decent scatter plot. Maybe instead of red, I'll do gray. be more boring. So I run this here, and now I have the dot. Yeah, maybe that looks a little better. Yeah, I like that plot. Pretty happy with it. So that's my uh, scatter plot. Now, since I already have one that I like with all the theme, I'm just going to copy that and do my second one. And the second one is supposed to be a box plot. So instead of, I'll take out the geom smooth. That obviously doesn't make any sense for a box plot. This should be geom box plot. The size is no longer relevant. The color here is not relevant. The X can be, I'll turn this into a factor variable, so it's categorical, and then I'll have the distribution of earnings according to the different levels of education. And what else is this has to be deleted. The labels, yeah, this should be figure two. Education increases the distribution. I'll write it that, yeah, let's leave it like that. Let's see what this does. Yeah, so here's our box plot, right? We see for education 0, 1, 2, 3, for all the 20 levels of education, the distribution of earnings is shifted up. Um, and yeah, so now I could interpret this box plot, but that looks pretty good to me. So I don't need to do much for there. And now I'll just do my last one, which is the histogram. So let me delete this while I'm at it. And so I'll delete this one. And now we got ggplot instead of a box plot, it's a histogram. And a histogram is just for a single variable. So I just have my x variable. So maybe I'll have earnings. So the x is equal to earnings, the geom histogram. Um, so my x would just be earnings in USD. So let's run that. There's the histogram. Boy, I don't like the way that looks at all. So the default in there is terrible. So what I think I want is I want fill equals white, and then let's run that. Nope. Fill so it should have been color equals white. Let's try that. I want the inside of the thing. Oh, that was the line. So color equals black. Then I would have those lines. But what is the fill? Um, it's yeah, fill equals red. See what happens if I do that. Oh, yeah, okay. So that's now I can do it. Fill equals white. Oh, I see. Before, since the lines weren't black, yeah, that looks a little better. Um, Let me make the fill be gray, and that will look a little nicer. Yes. Yes, I love it when it works out. Then this is figure three. Figure three, education, or sort of distribution of earnings in Kenya. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a little thing that's, there's a little extra, but some people have already done this in some of the labs. I'm going to do, it's called facet wrap, and I'll put the tilde here and then put female here. And now I'll get the distribution of earnings for males and females, right? And we see that female earnings are very much skewed towards zero, right? Male earnings are more evenly spread out. And I like this one so much, I'll do it by Kikuyu and non-Kikuyu just to see if there's a difference there. So that will help me determine whether Kikuyu are going to the ethnic, they're the largest ethnic group in Kenya. Um, so now we'll have distribution of earnings in Kenya and the Kikuyu. That didn't work. Why didn't that work? Something went on there. Facet wrap, is it Kikuyu? Yeah, zero. Okay. Huh, interesting. There's just too little of them. There's not that many. Yeah. Let's try Muslim. You know what? I should change the count. Instead of being count, I should have frequency or the percent, the share. Yeah, let's do the share. That'll be more. Uh, I'm going to ask, I forget how to do the share, so I'm just going to pop this over into ChatGPT or Claude. Um, um, I have this code in R, um, and you make it the uh, percent and not count. That'll be easy for Claude to do. See what it comes up with. Um, have to do this after stat density. So we have the Y. The aesthetic is that. Oh my goodness. So yeah, looks like let's just give it a try. Nothing wrong with this. Um, it's not obvious how to do histograms in R, unfortunately, that are the percent. This is not intuitive code, which is why it's always good to think about. But now it did it for the total. What I wanted it to do is by category. Let's go back and see if they say it'll substitute separately for each panel, but it's plain that it didn't add up to 100 for each panel. Um, so something here went wrong. I think I need to group um, histogram, static. I don't think their syntax is right. Anyway, getting bogged down here, so I'll leave it at that for now. But I don't think it's right. But since I'm making this lab here, it's a good way to show you how AI often is wrong. Clearly, these bars are not adding up to 100%, so it's just totally hallucinating. Um, so good idea to, if you copy and paste straight from these AIs, it'll almost always have some errors in it that'll be like, wait, what? And unless you know what you're doing, you won't catch them. And then when I'm looking at it, I'll be like, wait, what? Um, all right, let's get to regression analysis. So pretty straightforward here. So we already have the interaction terms here. Let me run this and see. Yeah, so there's I should have there's the title down at the bottom there. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and knit this. So I'll save it and knit this. I'm just showing you, basic syntax of how you should be doing this. And there we go. Introduction, graph one, plot, some regression tables. Yeah, so the basic bones are there. And now, that took us about 15 minutes. Now you should have plenty of time to fill out what this lab report should look like, and especially write a lot of text interpreting these regression coefficients.